Welcome back to the show where we run you through all the Dolphins news you need to know about. After you through the news you need to know about, we run you through the fan Q&A and answer fans' questions. A ton of stuff to talk about. More than you would think. So let's get into it. We do have an update with the Tyreek Hill situation. It's just more speculation. A lot of speculation. Anything surrounding Tyreek Hill is always up and down. You know, we got the podcast where he said, I'm staying. Obviously, the press conference, or the post-game press conference, whatever the heck it's called, post-game interview after the Jets game was one of the worst the Dolphins player has ever had. And then basically saying he wants to leave. Then he says he doesn't. And now we have this report. This comes from Pro Football Rumors. Dolphins will listen to Tyreek Hill offers, ? Ben Volin of the Boston Globe writes, Hill and the Dolphins may well be motivated to work out a trade in spite of public messaging from both parties. The team will have opportunity to gauge interest in a potential trade next week at the Combine, and it will be interesting to see if any further developments emerge at this time. There's a lot of stuff in this article, so we'll do them one by one. So this is Ben Volin, Boston Globe guy. Not the best reporter of all time, especially lately. He's been wrong about a lot of stuff. I really don't even know how he would have Dolphins connections. To me, this reads to me as an educated guess more than anything, because everybody knows at the Combine, everybody's there, and all the GMs, everybody's talking, and a lot of stuff comes out of that. To me, this is just presumption that some kind of conversation will happen. I don't know how Ben Volin of the Boston Globe would have any insider anything when it comes to Miami, because this would have been reported by a Dolphins beat writer first before it would have been a Boston Globe writer. Plus, this guy's a beat writer for the New England Patriots, so I don't know. Take that with a grain of salt. But the presumption of, hey, talks might happen at the Combine with Tyreek Hill, I mean, that probably will happen. So, I don't think it's like a dumb suggestion. I don't think it's hey, I'm reporting something, though. So the article goes on. Tyreek Hill hinted at a possible trade following Dolphins season finale, but both the wide receiver and the organization were quick to walk back those comments. While Hill has since stated a desire to stick in Miami, it could actually be the organization's benefit to seek a divorce. Multiple NFL executives told Armando Salguero of the Miami Herald that the Dolphins could listen to offers on their star receiver. The reporter seems to hint that it would take a significant haul to acquire Hill, but it also sounds like Miami could be receptive to an offer that reaches their lofty asking price. Finances would naturally be a major motivator for the Dolphins front office. Hill is attached to a lofty, manageable number of a $28.6 million cap hit. To me, this is the biggest issue, is the cap hit. The fact that Armando is reporting this, that the Dolphins could listen to offers, makes a lot of sense to me. Who knows? The report goes on, but it's all stuff that we already know. Who knows what's going to happen? Honest to God, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? I mean, to me, it's 50-50 at this point whether he gets traded. You know, some interesting ideas have been thrown out there, like the Chargers could be the most interested party, which makes a lot of sense. They need receiver help. They pretty much have a structure they're happy with, so it makes sense that they would start reaching for established players at this point. Maybe the Dolphins could somehow get Rashawn Slater off of them. I doubt that, but he's been injured a lot lately. He's one of the best linemen in football. I don't know what the Dolphins want to get out of a trade like that, whether it's draft picks or whatever. I personally, and I've said this many times, I'm content with whatever the decision is at this point. I think it's actually not the worst thing to do, especially if you can get out from under that contract. I would do it. He clearly doesn't want to be here anymore, or if he does, it's hot and cold. I don't like the reports that the Dolphins were making coaching decisions based on Tyreek Hill's wants and needs. clearly there's a lot of contradictory reports out there because they wouldn't have done that if they were going to trade him anyway. So who knows what's real and who's what isn't. It's that time of the season. I'm not opposed to trading him, though. I really don't think it's a bad thing, especially, like I said, getting out from under that contract. He didn't look great last year. He did have to play with terrible quarterbacks, like some of the worst quarterback play we've seen in a long time. So you got to account for that. But just him playing, and even when Tua was back, like, he just didn't look the same. And whether it's the injuries or the age or he's just not as fast as he used to be, whatever it was a really bad season for him. Off the field, it was one of the worst seasons of NFL players ever had. I'm surprised he hasn't been through more scrutiny for half the stuff that's come out about him. And not only that, but the press conferences aren't a good look for the organization either. So, yeah, maybe it's time to move on from Tyreek Hill and start to kind of build the substance of the roster. So we'll see. We'll see what they do. But from all reports, it sounds like they're at least going to try to trade him. So here's a cap space update where the Dolphins rank in the National Football League. This comes from Pro Football Rumors. The Dolphins are 27th in the NFL in available cap space with $5 million. Excuse me. They're $5 million over the cap. So they don't even have... They're over the cap, and they're 27th in the NFL. Who's the worst? That's almost the worst. The Saints are $54 million over the cap, which is insane. That's crazy. And then obviously the Patriots, who seems like they've had that money for a long time, have the most cap space. So moving on from Tyreek Hill's nonsense, this is kind of sad. Dolphins cut Raheem Mostert. They cut some other players we'll talk about here in a sec, but we'll stick with Raheem. One of the best Dolphins seasons ever. Had 21 touchdowns in total, receiving and rushing. Had over 1,000 yards. Was a part of one of the best games in Dolphins franchise history, scoring 70 points on an opponent. Still mad at Mike McDaniel for not kicking the field goal. One of the dumbest things that we've ever done. I don't know. I have no idea why they didn't just kick the field goal to break the record. And a great, phenomenal player. He had a really bad season. He was injured. But I still feel like when he was really good and he was healthy, I mean, he had a really bad fumbling problem last year. But when he was healthy, he actually still looked the same. So when I heard this news, it kind of made me sad because I was like, man, he could have been a good, like, third option in the running back room still, even at his age. So it's unfortunate that he's going to move on. I still think he's got football left in him. Whoever is going to pick him up is probably going to have a pretty good player, as long as he can stay healthy. But he still has the physical tools. He's got great vision. And he still has really, really, really good speed. So, and he's tough. He's a physical runner. He's a bigger running back than people give him credit for. And again, an all-time great Dolphin season. And, you know, we love Raheem. I think all Dolphins fans love him. And what he's done for this team. And some of the great runs that he's had. And it's sad to see him go. But, again, maybe... I guess the Dolphins want to get younger at that position. Jalen Wright, obviously, someone that they're excited about. So we'll see what happens moving forward. But I still think he is a good football player. So moving on from this, we cut some other players. The Dolphins cut Kendall Fuller and Durham Smythe. This comes from Pro Football Rumors. Dolphins are releasing Kendall Fuller and tight end Durham Smythe. We'll start with Durham. Durham, been here forever. Never really was never did anything great. He was, I don't want to be negative. I mean, I'll just be honest. I mean, he was a below average tight end. He was a part of many different regimes. Well, not many, probably two. Obviously, we drafted him out of Notre Dame. He just was never, like, I think his size was his biggest, like, hurdle to overcome. He just wasn't a very big tight end. And he just was kind of, I mean, Durham Smythe is Durham Smythe. He's one of those players that when you hear his name, you're like, okay, you just kind of get memories of the teams, not specifically the player. But he was a great locker room guy, and he was around the team for a long time. And yeah, it's just weird seeing him go. They have a lot of, I think that tight end room is kind of interesting. Julian Hill, who has moments where he's looked great and then moments where he's awful, but he definitely has gifts that I don't know if he'll ever find his footing, but if he does, he could be a pretty good tight end. Like I would say a good tight end. And then you have Jonnu Smith, who's a great tight end. So they definitely, I think, want to see what they got in that room, maybe even add to it. But yeah, I think it was time to move on from Durham, and God bless him, and he had a good run in Miami. Kendall Fuller was a disappointment. He was great when he was on the field. He had some bad moments. I wouldn't even say games, because he's still a pretty good player, and it just didn't work out the way I think the Dolphins wanted it to work out. A lot of things last year didn't work out the way the Dolphins wanted them to work out, and this is one of those free agent signings that was kind of a hit, but it just wasn't. He just couldn't consistently stay on the field. I still love Kendall Fuller. He's a great player still, I think, for what he is, a great veteran corner who can give you a pretty good season, honestly, as a 2. And it just didn't work out, man. That defense really just could have been a lot better than it was if it wasn't for injuries. So yeah, Dolphins let go of 3 players: Raheem Mostert, Durham Smythe, and Kendall Fuller. And the Dolphins are still over the cap, by the way, even with those moves. This is an interesting article. I think this is, again, we've talked about it many times. This should be the focus of the offseason. Dolphins, again, this comes from Pro Football Rumors. Dolphins to meet with Teron Armstead to invest in the offensive line. This is something that needs to happen. So let's get into the article. Where does it start here? Armstead has not determined if he will play a 13th season. The decorated left tackle will soon meet with the Dolphins brass about his future. Armstead's 5-year, $75 million contract runs through 2026, but the ex-Saints draftee has taken a year-to-year approach recently. By this time in 2024, Armstead has not yet decided to play, and Greer said last April the Dolphins are prepared as though last season would be the 5-time Pro Bowlers finale. Excuse me. It appears the team will want to extend the partnership with the often injured left tackle. Okay. Pro Football Focus slotted Armstead as the 4th overall best left tackle last season. We know he's great when he plays. This is what Mike McDaniel had to say about the offensive line. We had some players that we're very confident in. Those guys I thought deserved some praise because of what they had done the year before, and they started out the year well, and unfortunately injuries got to us. We didn't finish well. We're going to have to invest in the offensive line now, which was the quote of the century when it comes to the Dolphins. Now I'm interested to see how committed they are to that. There's some really good options out there. If they can get a trade done with the Chargers, Rashawn Slater, maybe they push for that trade. He's had injury problems, but he's a great player. Maybe they can put a package together for some picks in the future to make the entire kill to facilitate that. That would be great. But the focus needs to be on the offensive line. That needs to be the focus of the year, and doing everything that they can to invest in that. That's where the team's success is going to come from. Because of Tua, he's a pocket passer. He needs an offensive line, and the scheme starts with the run game, and they need to build it from there on out. And I hope that the reports are true, and they continue to invest in start to invest in the right way. And we'll see if they make the right decisions. But I just hope that truly, I hope that's number one on the list when it comes to the Dolphins, because I really believe, I mean, with any team, that's where the success comes from. But specifically with this team, I think if they can get that done, it will result in victories. But they have to fix it, especially the interior. We've talked about that's really where the weakness is. The tackles, they're pretty good with the tackles right now. Patrick Paul looked really promising his rookie season. Even if Teron Armstead leaves, he also was great in the run game, Patrick Paul. So I love where the tackles are. Austin Jackson coming back. It's where the interior is just awful. And it's just the guards. I mean, Brewer's a very good center. They just have to fix the guard positions. This was the most interesting report of the game, or of all of the articles that we've been through. Well, not interesting, but I would say not the most interesting, but the most, I don't know what they really call it. Ex-Dolphins offensive coordinator Bobby Slowick joins Miami. I read that completely wrong. Ex-Texans offensive coordinator Bobby Slowick joins the Dolphins. Bobby Slowick, I guess we'll start here. Well, no. The former coordinator will rebound by reuniting with his old boss from San Francisco. Slowick will join the Dolphins as senior passing game coordinator. Now, before C.J. Stroud and the Texans had a really underwhelming season for what their roster was, they drug Bobby through the coals. But the year before, he was getting head coach. Like, oh, this guy's the next, whatever. And he's like same level as Kellen Moore last year because of C.J. Stroud's rookie season. But that's how sports goes. One day you're the talk of the town, and the next day everybody just throws cabbages and trash at you. So, I don't know. Bobby Slowick's offense is, I think the best part of his offense actually is the passing game. His run game isn't very creative. I do like some of the stuff he does in the passing game. And then obviously, if you were a Houston Texans fans, you kind of wish that they would have stuck to the run more, but they dealt with a ton of injuries, especially in the receiver core. C.J. Stroud really wasn't having the best year either. So I don't think it was all on Slowick. This is actually a really interesting, I think it's a pretty awesome hire. To get someone that talented to be your senior passing game coordinator, it's pretty awesome. And obviously he's worked with Mike before in San Francisco. So this is actually pretty awesome. I think this is a great signing. I think, again, this guy, a few months ago, everybody loved him. So, and he did a lot with the Texans, a lot of really good things with the Texans. So I'm excited about this. I feel like this, in my opinion, this is honestly the best coaching move that they've made all year, unless there's something, I don't think there's anything I'm forgetting. But yeah, I really like the hire. Yeah, that's about it. There's really nothing. I mean, there's some super speculation about, will the Dolphins take a quarterback, but that's just a bunch of nonsense. Oh no, we do have this to talk about. Panthers sign Andy Dalton to an extension. And you might be wondering, why is this relevant to Miami? Well, because apparently the Dolphins wanted to, or were interested in Andy Dalton. Thank God this is off the board. We still have to worry about Marcus Mariota, so that's not great. So there's still one awful, thing that could happen. But yeah, thank God Andy Dalton. That just would not, to me, that doesn't, I'm not confident in that at all. So yeah, who knows what they're going to do about it. I hope it's Justin Fields. If stuff doesn't work with Pittsburgh, maybe Aaron Rodgers goes there, he wants to move on. But Justin Fields would be the perfect fit for a variety, so many different reasons. I think him and Mike McDaniel would be a really good match together. And the upside of that is pretty large. He's one of the most gifted players, not just quarterbacks, but players in the NFL. And matching him with Mike McDaniel, who's a great offensive mind. If Tua got hurt, Justin could become a great player because of his ceiling is still very high. So that would be the dream. But which was rumored last year, but nothing ever happened with that. So yeah, so Marcus Mariota is still out there. But anyway, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed. It's a weird off season, I'm not going to lie. The draft is the most interesting part of it. Will Tyreek Hill stay or go is going to be the most annoying question Dolphins fans are going to have to deal with for the rest of the year. It doesn't really matter. They just have to fix the offensive line. Just put a product on the field put an offensive line that we have never had an offensive line that can dominate the line of scrimmage since Mike McDaniel's been here. We haven't had an offensive line that can dominate the line of scrimmage since 2016. Let Tua play behind an offensive line like that. You know, people complain about that. Jalen Hurts has the best offensive line in the NFL. So does Jared Goff. So it doesn't say anything about your quarterback and that you need something like that. And even the Buffalo Bills, who and again, Josh Allen is a big part of that with him scrambling around a lot. But when you look at pressure rate, their tackles are both in the top 10 in terms of giving up pressure. So it matters that, of course, it's one of the most important positional groups in the dang game. So I hope that's the focus of the offseason. Who cares about Tyreek Hill? I don't care about anything. Just fix the offensive line. So that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one.